Hello, everyone. This is Prophetic Words, and the video that I have for you today is regarding the 144,000 and the woman. Over the years, there have been this teaching that the 144,000 can't be a woman. So, we're going to look at this woman in Revelation and see who she really is. But I know that can't be true. Many women know that they are called, that they are chosen, that they have answered the call, and the Most High God wants to use them. Um, just hearing that teaching, I knew that it could not be right. While I was in church, I remember being taught that whenever there was a group or a crowd, the numbers that were given, like the 5,000 that were fed the fish and the loaves, I was told they never included women. And I found that so strange. So I said, okay, something is not right with this. I decided to take a look at the Old Testament. And in the Old Testament, there's a different view. You don't find that the women are not counted, or how the Apostle Paul feels about how women are limited and what they can do and what they say. But what I found was, as in Proverbs tells us, that women could own businesses. They did so much. They bought land. They did things outside of their husbands. They weren't these weak, feeble women who should stay at home. They were prophetess, and they even prophesied to kings. They were judges. So I found that there was this different view. So with that, I decided to go behind the English, and I know the Most High God led me to do that because our God does not limit who can do what. He created us just as He created men. So I want to show you what I learned, what the Most High God showed me as I decided to look at the role, not the role of women, but the scripture basically that says that women are not included in the 144,000. So I'm going to go to Revelation 14. That's where we find it. And for this study, we're going to be going behind the English. That's the only way you can unravel it. So we'll do that. But I like to read from here. I don't know, it just looks better. And then if I need to go behind the English, I'll come over here. And then it helps to have up two in case you have more than one scripture you want to look up. So let's begin with Revelation 14. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and unto the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. So, reading that, I do see why people believe that, particularly men. I don't even think I've heard a woman say that, like that the 144,000 aren't women. We know. But anyway, it's so dismissive. But anyway, I'm here to correct it. So don't worry. Women who know what's inside of you, what the Most High God has called you to do, and what He has told you, it's okay because I'm going to clear it up today. Men who are saying that, let's just take another look. The words of the Apostle Paul are not the words of the Most High God. Let's just consider it that way. All right. And here, let me say it before I go on. I'm saying what Paul said It's not what God said. What Paul said came from his mind. Okay? Moving on. Um, so these were they which were defiled with women. So now we'll go to Revelation 14:4. Now I'm looking for the word women. It says, these are they which were not defiled with women. And this Greek word is G1135. So we'll click on it. And we see it says woman 129 times. Now, this one, they're supposed to tell you when it says women because it was translated women. I don't know why they do that. It's translated wife 92 times. And then it's supposed to tell you how many times it was translated as women because we see that it was women. Oh, there it is there. It's women right here. Sorry, I meant to say woman. It's supposed to have women and woman because you will see the same word is also woman. Excuse me. Women is there, and then it should say woman. But the definition is a woman of any age, whether a virgin or married or a widow, a wife of a betrothed woman. So this is just woman, the word in a general sense, the way that we use it in English. It's also translated women. It's also translated wife. And as we will see later, I'll show you now. We'll just do it this way. Now, when I scroll down, it's the same Strong's word, G1135. You will see every time this Strong's word was used in the New Testament. It occurs 221 times in 200 verses. So maybe one verse had it twice. We see it as wife, wife, woman. See, there it is singular. For some reason, they didn't include it here. I don't know why. Okay. Woman, wife, wife, woman, and it goes on and on. But since we're talking about Revelation, so that we're not going through so much, let's take a look. Where is it? Here it is. And see how it was used in the book of Revelation. Woman, women, woman, woman, woman. Do you see? Woman. I don't know why they left that out. Woman, woman. So as you're beginning to see, the majority of times it is woman in the book of Revelation. I'm going to go all the way down. So a couple of times wife, the majority of times woman, and I think only in Revelation 4 did it say women, or 14:4. Yeah, that's the only time it said women. So this tells us right here, this 19 right here, that means that this Strong's G1135 was used 19 times in the book of Revelation. So these numbers are telling you in the New Testament altogether. But if you wanted to segment it out, 19 times in the book of Revelation. So it looks like two or three of those times it was wife, one time it was women, and all the other times it's woman. So why am I bringing this up? And why is this even important? I believe, and I have come to know, that this was a mistranslation. Um, I am not going to change the Bible. I know that you should not change the Bible. But this one Strong's word in English is used with three different words. It is either used as women, wife, or the one they did not include, woman. So it's used three ways. The majority of times it is used as woman, and I believe that is how it should be used. So let's take a look at it using the word woman. These are they which were not defiled with the woman, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. So, okay, if you feel that it says woman, Miss Prophetic Words, then what woman are they talking about? Well, if any of you are familiar with the book of Revelation, you know that it speaks of two women at least. It speaks of three. Now, they could be the same person, some of them, but it speaks of the terms, it use feminine terms at least three times. It speaks of a wife. Well, I'll say four. It speaks of a wife. Again, some of these may be the same, but let's just break down what it speaks of. It speaks of a wife, it speaks of a bride, it speaks of the woman from Revelation chapter 12 who had a crown of stars on her head, and it also speaks of the woman in Revelation 17 who was riding on the beast. Now, we know the wife and the woman is the same. Bride is an entire another word. I'll just look it up just to show you it's a different translation. Again, it can be one of those women. To me, there are just two women there, the one from Revelation 12 and the other from Revelation 17. The wife could be Revelation 12, the bride could be Revelation 12. That's not the scope of this today, but I'm just going to let you know bride is a different word, just as in English, bride is a different word from woman. In the Most High's kingdom, all brides are women. However, not all women are brides. So this is a different word entirely. G3565. So we're not going to focus on bride. We're just going to focus on woman. And when it was translated wife, it's the same word. So we're going to focus on G1135, which is wife, woman, or women. Now let's go down. Let's read these because after we read these, we're going to get some understanding. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferedst that woman, Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit fornication, to eat things sacrificed unto idols. Revelation 9. And oh, this is another one where it uses women. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lion. It's general, women. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman, clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now we're into Revelation 12. You'll see this is what I call the good woman. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. She was ready to deliver her child. Next one, verse 6. And these are not in order, these are only the verses that contain the word woman. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had the place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. 14. And to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time from the face of the serpent. 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So that's all Revelation 12. As we can see, that's the woman with the crown of stars who the dragon came after. So that's one woman. The other was this, we heard about Jezebel in chapter 2. And then chapter 9 was just the word women in general. 14 was the one that we started with. So now we're going to go down to 17 and we're going to hear about another woman. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones, and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a great person here. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. And here is a mind which hath wisdom, the 7 heads and 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And then it doesn't go into it, but go down to 18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. All right, so that was all 17. And we see that this is an entirely different woman from the woman in chapter 12 who had the crown of stars on her head, the one who was being persecuted by the dragon, the one who was ready to deliver her child. This one is a woman who sat on the beast. She was drunken with the blood of the saints. This one is the woman that's not the good woman. And then we have two more, and these are used as wife. And I'll just read them just because they're here. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And there came unto me one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show thee the bride, the Lamb's wife. So, when I tell you that I understand these women to mean woman, these are they which were not defiled with the woman, for they are virgins. So, which woman are they talking about? Well, which woman would defile them? It's not the woman of Revelation 12. This is talking about the woman of Revelation 17. These are they which were not defiled with the woman, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These are redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. So, only 144,000 in the time of the end, in the time of now, have not defiled themselves with the woman. But we have to identify who is this woman in order to understand this. I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to show you that it's one more thing to let you know that this is not talking about men defiling themselves with women. So, as we see here, this says virgins. Virgins. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. In English, mostly, well, at least in the Bible, I'll say in the Bible because we do in English, a man who has not been with a woman or a man who abstains from a woman, it's not called a virgin. That's what we call a woman. And so now I am going to look up this word virgin and we'll see what we can get from this. So, virgin in Revelation 14:4, right here, we'll click on it. This tells us it was used 14 times in the entire book of the New Testament. If you wanted to know for Revelation, it's just one time. Okay, so 14 times in the New Testament. And let's look at the definition. A virgin, a marriageable maiden. A maiden is a woman. A woman. A woman who has never had sexual intercourse with a man. One's marriageable daughter. And then I'm going to show you how this is added. A man who has abstained from all uncleanness and whoredom, attendant on idolatry, and so has kept his chastity. Look at those words. Chastity. Okay. Well, I'll approve that to you. One who has never had intercourse with women. See, we don't call this, and this is added. Just as the scripture was mistranslated, this is a woman. The Bible refers to a man who has never had or who abstains as a eunuch. And I'll look that up. But before I do that, let's go down and see all 14 times how this word was used. So we'll scroll down. And I have mentioned on other videos, and so I'll have to keep mentioning it because I don't know, you know, which video people are starting with, but Christ commanded us to beware of the scribes and the Pharisees. So it wasn't only the doctrine of the Pharisees, it was also the scribes. And I remember when I was younger, I was thinking, why scribes? Why would I have to beware of a scribe? And someone explained to me, well, they write the Bible, but I still couldn't understand that. Well, they don't always translate correctly. And if they want to put a different idea in your head, they will write it the way that they want it to appear. And if you stick with me, you'll see over and over and over how this happens. But okay, this is all 14 times. This certain word that's used in Revelation 14 is used in the rest of the Bible. So, behold, a virgin shall be with child and shall bring forth a son. We know that's a woman. We know that story. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be like unto 10 virgins. We know that story. Those are women. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. We know that story. Women. Matthew 25, same thing. Women. Luke, to a virgin espoused to a man. Woman. And the same man had 4 daughters. Women. Not concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment, as one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord to be faithful. Or now concerning, this is women. But and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned, and if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. She, woman. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. It's compared to a wife, woman. But if any man think that he behaves himself uncomely toward his virgin, woman. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but hath power over his will, hath so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. Woman, for I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin. Woman. And then the very last one is the only one where it refers to a man. In the entire New Testament, this is not what we call a man. Beware of the scribes and the Pharisees. Christ would not put that warning in there if you were not to beware of them. And if this is not an example of it, then I would like for someone, maybe in the comments, to leave me an example of why he would tell people to beware of the scribes. This is the only one. I could see if it was someplace else. So we don't say that, but we use this word. Or I say the Bible uses this word. Okay, we're going to go down to the New Testament. And as he arose, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority under Candace, man. But here, let me get the definition first before I read. Oh, New Testament, G2135. A bedkeeper, bed guard, superintendent of the bedchamber, chamberlain, and the palace of Oriental monarchs who supports numerous wives, the superintendent of the women's apartment or harem, an office held by eunuchs, an emasculated man, a eunuch, eunuchs in Oriental courts held by other offices of greater, held by the Ethiopian eunuch mentioned in Acts, one naturally incapacitated for marriage, begetting children, one who voluntarily abstains from marriage. So if the Bible The New Testament is talking about one who voluntarily abstains from marriage. They're going to use the word eunuch. And we saw all 13 times out of the 14 times that it was a woman because that's what we know it to be. It's kind of like saying a seamstress and a tailor. One we know to be a woman, the other is a man. It's the same thing, but we have different names based on the gender. So if you are talking about one who voluntarily abstains from marriage and it is a man, we do not use the word uh, virgin for a man. We use eunuch, or that's what's used in the Bible. We in English don't use this word in this day too much. So here we have the eunuch answered Philip. These are all men. Man, man, man. So let's go back here. So these are they which were not defiled with the woman, for they are pure, clean, virgins. Why? First of all, we have to understand that this is a spiritual matter. We remember reading, here, let me go back to that. Jezebel taught the children of Israel to fornicate and eat things seduced to idols and things like that. Well, was that physical? Of course it's not. Let's go. Notwithstanding, I'll do this so it'll be easier to read. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. So, are they talking about a physical fornication here? No. This is spiritual, just as Revelation 14 is. This is a spiritual fornication. Okay, well, that makes sense, but what does that mean? I'm going to tell you. Spiritual fornication is known as idolatry. When you worship, praise, or participate in worship or intimacy with a spiritual being that is not your God, that is called idolatry. Why? Because you're fornicating with something that is not yours. In the same way, if a person physically joins themselves to someone that is not their husband, not their wife, then it is adultery. Adultery is the physical, idolatry is the spiritual. This is talking spiritual. Israel was known to be idolatrous and compared to an adulterous woman because they were leaving the Most High God and worshiping other gods. That's why, even though it is a people, she is referred to as names like harlot. She's playing the harlot and things like that. This is spiritual, guys. So these are they which were not defiled with the woman, for they are not idolatrous. They are faithful. They have not worshiped other gods. That is what this means. So it um, confirms by saying, these are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. Make sense? This is spiritual. So now, when you see in the Old Testament all of those references to Israel being idolatrous, it's saying she's being adulterous, but physically, or excuse me, but spiritually. So now we can understand it. You have one God. Israel has only ever had one God. So if you go worshiping under this tree and under this mountain and praising this little wooden thing you've carved out, or this metal cross in your hand or on your wall, or maybe it's even wooden, things that our God never had, that were never our God to begin with, then that makes you idolatrous. And by the very same token, physically, if you are in covenant with one man and then you're with another, it makes you adulterous. Revelation 4:4 is spiritual, not physical. We do not call men who have abstained from sexual actions virgins. The Bible refers to them as eunuchs. And when we looked up this here, we saw that the definition of virgins 13 out of 14 times was a woman, except for this time. And we also understand that we are warned to beware of the scribes. So now that we have figured that out, let's find out who this woman really is. Who is this woman? We're going to now go to Revelation 17. And here I'm going to do it over here. Um, okay, so we need clarity, but um, the verse is already here. Now, this woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones. Well, here, let's just read it so we can get an understanding of this woman. I'll start from verse 1, Revelation 17. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the king of the earth hath committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So we'll stop there. This angel said, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you, and there's that word again, the whore. Now, before we go forward, what makes her a whore? Is this a physical person? If she's sitting on many waters? No. So then, what makes her a whore? Idolatry. Okay? That can be established. So let's go on with verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Okay, again, is this physical where she got around to all the kings of the earth, or to the majority of the kings of the earth? No, it's spiritual. And so, what must these kings of the earth be doing? Participating in some type of worship, in some type of communication, in some type of union or joining as we join physically. They're doing something with her that should not be done. And not only is it the kings of the earth, we see that the inhabitants of the earth have also been seduced by her. How? They have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So they are victims of her fornication as well. What type of fornication? Physical? No, spiritual. So the inhabitants of the earth are doing this. It's causing them to be drunk. What happens when you're drunk? You don't reason correctly. Some people don't speak correctly. Some people can't even stand, but you don't reason correctly. You don't have all of your senses, your full faculties. And because of this, the inhabitants of the earth are participating in this fornication as well as the kings of the earth. All right? Verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So this is not a good person here if she's full of names of blasphemy. This is the woman from Revelation 14 that they have not fornicated with. This refers to men and women who did not participate in the acts that the kings of the earth and the inhabitants of the earth have. So they are special and they are marked. And the Bible is telling you this because obviously it is something that most people have done, save these 144,000. They have not done this. Or maybe at some point, if they did, they turned away. Verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and decked with gold, and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So I am going to stop right here, and I am going to include a part two. The reason that I am going to do this is because with Revelation 17, we have enough information to identify this woman in the earth today. And I am going to do a part two, and we are going to identify this woman. And I'm going to show images so that we can identify this woman. And all of this will fully come together. But as of now, we know that the woman in Revelation 14:4, or the women, are not physical women. It is a spiritual woman. The Greek word is the same. It's translated woman or women. And the majority of times it was translated as a woman. So it doesn't make it wrong to do that. I think it was only two times women in the entire book of Revelation out of the 19 times. So 15 times it was woman because the other two it was wife. It's the same word. We, not we, but in English they chose what word it should be. But it is the exact same in the Greek. These people, this is spiritual, have not fornicated with the woman. They are pure. They are not idolatrous. They are not unfaithful. And there are only 144,000 in the earth who have done this. There are 12,000 from each 12 tribes of Israel. They are faithful, so they are marked. And that is what this is saying. If you were told that you are a part of 144,000 and you are sure that you were told that and you are a woman, you are correct. I'm sure you did not allow someone or some teaching to tell you otherwise. I wouldn't allow some teaching to tell me otherwise. But yet, at the same time, the Bible seems to support it. So if you've been wondering about this and you've had questions about it, now you know. I am going to continue with a part two, so stay tuned for it. But I'm going to get some images because this woman is in the earth and she is readily identifiable. She is a spiritual entity. It talks about Jezebel's cause these people to commit fornication. Jezebel was dead long time ago. This is not physical, but it's that spirit of Jezebel. And it doesn't always mean controlling. That's something else I would like to go over someday. It seems the same people who are teaching you that it can't be a woman are the ones who are so hard on women. God made women. Not all women are that way. But anyway, I want to thank you for listening to this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments or questions in the box below. And also, if you'd like to get more information, please subscribe.